and then use those techniques and let you feel what they feel like. So a little teaching and a little healing. And of course, first I'll start with the prayer, because I don't do any healing without saying the prayer. Divine, infinite spirit, thank you for being with us, for being one with us, for flowing through us and all around us. We ask that we are clear, centered, grounded, balanced, aligned, and filled with light, love, peace, and joy, with a sense of well-being. We ask for the help of the ascended beings, the masters, the guides, the angels, Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel, Ariel, Eziel, Metatron, Azrael, Ezekiel, Senshal, Zachiel, Master Christ, Master Buddha, all light beings that wish to participate, including the guides of anyone here that I'm not familiar with. And we ask that these souls receive everything they need and all that is in their best interest. So while I was saying a prayer, I was feeling a need to kind of go out into everyone's aura and look at your subtle bodies in your aura. And I found that some of the subtle bodies were kind of close together, and some were lumpy and at times close, and then they spread out, and then they got close again, and then they spread out. So we're going to start by soothing and smoothing subtle bodies and separating them to a better distance by filling them with energy. And give me a show of hands. Hi, Kimber. As you begin to feel that happening. So for some of you, often it's the heart, the fourth subtle body, the emotional body, and the mental body that tend to get the most distorted. That's not always true, but it is often true. And we're working to, some people are losing energy out through their subtle body, through those two subtle bodies, like a gap in between them where they're not properly sitting on top of each other. And some of you have the mental body slowing down and changing its direction. And they're beginning to communicate with each other, those two subtle bodies. And for some of you, the mental body has collapsed downward into the emotional body. Not that it lost its lining, so they're still separate, but it looks like it goes along this way and then dips down and comes back up, and then dips down and comes back up. So it's separating that back out. The emotional body is clearing. As it does, you may feel your heart chakra clear. Anybody feel that? Then the back of your third chakras are clearing. For some, it may be the front of your third chakras. And there's a loosening up in your aura. For most of you, it was really tight. And when I tune in, I hear some of the things that were in those mental bodies. A lot of what the heck's happening in this country kind of stuff. But also some personal worries and stress. Some grappling with independence. That feels like people who've been accustomed to being with other people, and those people are no longer around. And it's a hard thing to adjust to. Go out. Oh. A lot more clearing. And with these changes, there's a loosening up in your chest. How many people feel that? And an expansion in your ability just to breathe in. Thank you, Kimber. Blow out. So what I'm doing is sitting here just very focused on your subtle bodies. And I sensed a collective issue in the subtle bodies. one that everyone had a little bit, some more than others, and began to insert pockets of energy into the subtle bodies, lifting and separating. Just like a thought form of energy. The concept of it being well spaced and more functional. And it began to respond. Still responding. You may feel some more releases out of your third chakra, and your third subtle body just enlarged and began soothing and smoothing. And because each subtle body is closely associated with a chakra, that's why you had releases out through your chakras, as those corrections are not really collections, but returning to normal, to a normal, healthier state began to happen. And inside your third subtle body, it looks like little happiness seeds got planted in there. It's like little more happiness, and they stuck up inside the lining of that subtle body, and they're kind of blossoming now, and they look very golden, like little rays of sunshine coming open. It may feel a little warm. It may not be in your aura that it feels warm. It may be in your body that it feels warm. Anybody feel that one? Good. And then because the fourth subtle body, the emotional body, had shut down a little bit and had become a little protective for everyone. It's like, oh, I don't want to know any more of that. It was not taking in energy well, and it is opening up to receive. And you're going to get a great influx of energy down from the seventh subtle body and right into that emotional body. And then it spreads, and this is all white light. It's helping to enter or energize you. And more release out of the heart center. One of the themes that I can feel being addressed for a lot of people is this sadness over losses. And different types of losses for each person. For some, it's like childhood lost. For others, love lost. And then there is some trepidation about facing changes. And this runs all through that emotional body and begins to work in the communication nodules that impenetrate throughout the aura, but especially the ones between the emotional and mental bodies. And then on down into the feeling bodies, further lower in the aura. And by lower, I mean this way, closer. You may feel like you're getting goosed up your spine. It's a little tingly thing running up the spines. Blow out. And then I'm running into some hardened second subtle body linings, like the thin layer of electromagnetic energy that composes the field that holds the second subtle body in place. So this is very tightly knit. And there are some of you who worry about unfairness in the world. Some for yourself and others for other people, and some for both. Blow out. And it's the energy, as I work with it, it's trying to poke little holes in that and space out that lining better. Make the particles more penetrable by adding a little space to them. And then you may feel a wave that's very refreshing inside of you as that begins to take in more energy. It's also causing it to get bigger. Some of the second subtle bodies were only about 3 or 4 inches wide. They're supposed to be about 6, at least. And then when you're in an expanded state, these were very small. And all I'm doing is holding the thought of health for the subtle bodies, returning them to their natural state, where they want to be and where their template for a healthy aura is. How many can feel that? And this is causing some of you to have a more relaxed body. And the energy begins to seep into the first subtle body. And there is anger coming out of the first subtle body. How many of you have been feeling angry about something? It's more than a few of you, so you're angry about something. Yeah. And it's pulling little strands of, they look like threads out of that first subtle body. They're little thought form chains that have to do with reasoning and rationalizing. Like if this is true and this is true, then this is true, but maybe one of the, there was a fallacy there somewhere. And some of this is left over from childhood and some of it's very new. But it does put a damper on what your flesh wants to do. Because it interferes with the body template and insinuates the little chain of thought forms in between particles to prohibit good flow and good communication and proper coding. So if there is a lack of flow, the coding through the linings of the subtle body is what makes the subtle body work and have consciousness in it. Can erode or get distorted. And then we get sick. Then we age too fast and we don't feel as well. Blow out. So when I was doing that, I just began to ask those little thought forms, what were they doing there? And why didn't they just go away? They said they were holding space for your belief system in your body. And they spoke with the other parts of your consciousness to see if you were ready to let them go. And all of you are having a big release now. How many people can feel that? Good. Oh, good to let that stuff go. Yep. Thanks, Kimber. Good use of thumb. So you still have squiggly things making their way out of your aura. Not quite as quickly as they did there for a minute. Like some of them are taking longer to make a decision. Hi, Rocky. And blow. With this work being done in the first subtle body, where the body templates are, there is repair in the templates and in the ability of the first subtle body to transfer information about building proper proteins, creating good flesh, building cells that are healthy. And some of you may experience some more warmth. And another huge release. Wow. And then it's causing a release from your shoulders, where sometimes these squiggly thought forms tell you you're just carrying the weight of the world, but you're not. I can tell you very factually that the weight of the world is equally distributed everywhere and not just on you. And blow out. It's also working on the shadow side of people. And so they're going to be a release from one half of your body, possibly out your ear, possibly out your elbow. I'm not sure where it will affect you, but off of one side of your body. Where you hold secrets from yourself. You don't need to hold secrets from yourself, but everybody does. Including the fact that what you think you see, you think is real. But what you think you see may not be what's there. Blow out. And then that first subtle body expands out and it sends energy outward to your other subtle bodies, which is very refreshing. It's kind of the I'm okay, you're okay energy. Meaning that this subtle body is okay and that one is too. They just have to believe it, like all parts of our consciousness have to work together to believe that we're in good shape. That we've got this. And then any parts of your subtle bodies that are carrying self-doubt, or your chakras that are carrying self-doubt, there is a clearing there. To make room for I'm okay. So that we can all become masters of living, not masters of avoiding death or illness, but of just living. Blow out. And it reaches out your fifth subtle body. And those things that you hold are true. Wendy and Majiga, do you have a question?
No, I don't know why that happened. Sorry.
Well, I'm good with answering questions.
No, I think there was an accident. Oh, Rodrigo, when you do this now with Zoom, he was playing around with.
Oh, okay. And it went up. Okay, I got you. It followed suit. Is your neck okay, Teresa? So in working with the fifth subtle body, it's where we hold these things, or I hold these things to be self-evident. And maybe they're not so self-evident. So it's chipping away at the ones that harm you. Thank you, Kim. We don't know we do that to ourselves. But we do. I mean, it can be something as simple that when you get old, you get tired, or that's something I can't do. I can't speak in public. I can't do this. I can't do that, but you can. You just have to choose to. Cynthia. Can't hear you, dear.
How many subtle bodies do you have?
There are 7 that are your personal ones. And then there are ones beyond that that are more in keeping with higher levels of consciousness that aren't quite so personal. But within each subtle bodies, there are also 7 layers. And those layers are a representation of all these other subtle bodies within one. So 49.
And then when you mentioned then the dark, the shadow side, what do you, I see those kind of words got me thinking, and I didn't understand.
It's just a fearful part of ourselves that hides our insecurities.
Oh.
Makes us act out or not feel whole in some way. Causes us to choose the wrong path sometimes. Or maybe not the wrong path, but leads us down a path of rougher learning than we might otherwise experience if we were clear.
It's like a harder path. It takes you on a harder path than you really need to go to, maybe.
Yeah, can cause you to do self-punishment as well.
Wanda, these sub-levels within the 7 layers within each of the subtle bodies, is that what you referred to before as the templates within the subtle bodies?
It's compilation of what exists in the consciousness of the other subtle bodies, being available to that one subtle body and helping to further integrate the way your consciousness works.
Can you repeat that again?
Each one of those sublayers represents a compilation of what is contained in the other subtle bodies. So the information is more immediately available to that subtle body in case one of the others gets damaged.
Okay.
Does that also hold true then if the communication nodule is not working someplace else, then there's another channel to get the information flow?
Yeah, if you can do it, but a lot of times people constrict their subtle body so much that you can't actually access that information. You don't mean to, but sometimes we do. And then it's really good to get that 6-inch separation between them. Yes, Jen.
I think it was Cynthia that asked about, and I didn't catch the word. Was it a shadow area?
Yes.
Okay.
There are people who don't have a shadow area because they've cleared so much. And most of them are well on their way to ascending. Most of us got a little bit left. So we work on it and we deal with it as we can. Right, did I answer everyone's questions? Cynthia? Can't hear you again. You have to unmute yourself.
Can you spell the word subtle bodies for me?
SUBTLE. As compared with flesh and blood body that's not so subtle. These are just energy fields within your aura.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
More subtle. Harder to detect, but definitive. I mean, you can touch them and they'll react to it. For instance, I'm going to touch everybody's fifth subtle body. Let me know when you feel that. What does it want to do when I touch it?
For me, it feels like a vibration. Very soft, very gentle.
I wouldn't do anything harsh to it.
It's like a ripple.
Yeah. It's vibrating more. And as it vibrates more, what happens to it? Hi, Barb. Are you really on the beach? Well, we had Wendy and Rodrigo out in outer space a few minutes ago.
Wanda?
Yes.
Is the fifth subtle body associated with the throat chakra?
Yes.
Okay.
So you probably felt that in your throat.
A little bit.
It's also associated with what you believe to be true. So part of your belief system. Some of them, some of you have bumpy ones. Sometimes what you think to be true can be at odds with what you're actually seeing. If you believe there should be peace on earth and there's not, well, that can be bumpy. But there can be peace on earth. It's just your peace. You can't make it for other people, but you can be perfectly at peace. So still touching those fifth subtle bodies. Anybody feel their throat restricting? And yeah, it's softening up, becoming more pliable, spacing out, and then your aura just got bigger. In fact, as that one relaxed, it took all of them out. So none of us can do it for other people. We can only make our universe peaceful. The one that we're in charge of. Yes.
Well, it's interesting, as you touch into my fifth subtle body, I feel like it wants to move forward. It wants to communicate. It wants to interact.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Because it's also about you speaking the truth. Just like your throat chakra. knowing that your truth really isn't that you're mad at your brother-in-law or mad at your sister-in-law. Your real truth is that you're a peaceful soul who's here to do good things. And that every contribution you make to be kind, to be good, makes a big difference in the world. That's the real truth of everyone.
Okay.
That we're all important, that we're all good at our job, meaning our job of making a place on earth and living our life with as much goodwill in our heart as we can. Knowing that one day you'll do it better than other days. Some days you've got more goodwill than other days. But always striving to have peace on earth, goodwill toward mankind, humankind. Be your lead. Because that's the truth of everyone, so they just forgot. And when we forget, we can spew venom. There's been a lot of throat chakra opening since the 1960s. So a lot more people speak up about things than used to. And we're also in a transition to beginning to understand the consequence of speech. And that's perceptual energy. Part of the evolvement of our culture. Spew venom, you get venom. Spew love, you get love. Cynthia?
What is the root chakra? Because I've never felt so much of my opening in my root chakra before.
The root chakra is associated with that first subtle body, which we also worked on. And as we clarify each of them and make it healthier, the final impact's going to be in your body, which is associated with your root chakra.
Yeah, I've never had it so active and open like this. Just, it's always been kind of closed and protective of me. So I think it's interesting how it's maybe I'm feeling like I don't need that much protection anymore.
Right. That was the very thing I was going to say, that the truth is, the truth of our soul is that we don't need protection. We are protected. Simply because we exist and we're a child of the universe and we have a right to be here. Therefore, our soul is always protected. We may fall and break our toe or something, but that's not true harm.
Yeah.
Blow out. And welcome, Tracy. I just saw you.
Thank you.
what we're doing, Tracy, is I'm presenting some healing techniques for the aura and then allowing people to feel those techniques. So right now we're working on the fifth subtle body, and people are still experiencing some changes. Anyone feeling that in their spine? When you clear a path from the root all the way up to the fifth chakra, your spine is going to take note of it and begin to change. Go out. Hold your arms out. Your underarm's going to clear. And some of your lymph nodes are clearing. And energy is beginning to go up towards your head. The other thing that's happening is your heart's beginning to rotate quite strongly. And it's drawing down more white light from your crown, through your crown, and into your lower body. All just from working on the subtle bodies. Blow out. All right, we're going up into the sixth subtle body. And for many of you, there are a lot of rules and regs in your sixth subtle body. It's like, this is the rule, this is what I have to do, this is what I have to do, this is the regulation on it. This is how I have to do it. And it gives you rituals and routines and is based on perception, how you've viewed things. It links with that truth of yourself, but isn't limited to that, because there are also societal rules and regs that you think should be observed. Family rules and regs that are all contained within perception. And a great deal of your Akashic record information comes through there to conform with whatever you think is going on with you. In other words, sometimes we take our past life information or future life information and conform it to whatever we think is going on.
Could you say more about that?
Yes, any information has to come through us. And so our perceptions of what life is, what the soul is, what spirit is, time, space, all of that have an influence on which part of your Akashic records you connect to and what you get from them. So a very important subtle body. So the doorway to that unlimited, all-knowing state, but not quite there yet. Blow out. That's beginning to clear. You may feel shifts and changes around your neurology because it's affecting your brain. You bring your prejudices from other lives into this one often. And you're still the same person. You may have developed more, but you're still the same person. The same being, I should say. Your personality isn't the same. You've been given a different personality in order for you to learn in a new way. Or to observe in a new way and process information. But the rest of it is still there. Blow out. How many people can feel that work in their brain? Yeah, it's real strong. And working hard.
So Wanda, what in essence you're saying is that all information that we receive is somehow or another distorted or tainted by our past perceptions, rules, beliefs, etc., right?
Yes. You're everything you ever have been or ever will be. It's not limited to the past. Everything happens all at once. Everything, everywhere, all at once. And that's a great movie, by the way, if you've never seen it. And it's happening simultaneously because there's no such thing as time, except where we impose it in an attempt to not have too much information coming at us at any one time, more than our physical senses can handle. So we put it in a timeline so that we can deal with it. But all of that's happening at the same time, and every reaction you're feeling in every life you've ever lived, you're still feeling and knowing and experiencing at the same time you're living this life. So you were deeply influenced by all of yourself. And your job in each lifetime is to integrate that into the one beingness. There's more than one meaning to one spirit. Yes, Jane.
Would you explain a little bit more of that last statement?
You are one soul experiencing everything, everywhere, all at once. And the job of becoming enlightened is taking all that knowledge and integrating it in such a way that it's all useful, that you have immediate access to everything you are. And that immediate access leads to that sense of all knowing. Do you understand? Okay. You've lived everywhere and done just about everything. This has given you vast reservoirs of knowledge. And instead of piecemeal having one piece of information come through, you'll have access to all of that information if you have that kind of clarity that allows you to do that. And so you pretty much have access to all information that's ever been. So it helps you become all-knowing and all-seeing. Most of us don't achieve that state, but that's what we strive toward in our return to our understanding of God. And our understanding of being co-creators, or just creators. We're all creators. We give life.
We give what?
Life.
Oh, okay.
Did you know that anything that is built has taken the energy of it being built and turned it into a consciousness? It's like a soul. It is a soul of its own. So your house knows you. A piece of furniture has its own consciousness. The carpets have their own consciousness. Everything that exists has consciousness behind it. And it is no longer the consciousness of whoever wove that carpet together. That's there, but the consciousness that it's alive and it exists is also there. It's beingness. So the walls of your house are as much alive as you are. Consciousness is vast and unending. In order for something to come into form, there has to be an act of creation behind it that brings it into existence and makes it aware. Otherwise, it cannot exist. Blow out. So your sixth subtle body is expanding even further, and it's taking on the galaxies. How many people can feel that expansion where you feel like you're standing up in the stars with all the planets and moons and suns, and they're all there, and it's wonderful. At the same time, you're grounding it because everything else is open. So the stars are going below your feet, and the earth is coming up through your head. And there is harmony and balance in that. And that's causing the halves of your body to communicate better with each other, and the lower half of your body to be equally aware as the upper half of your body. A lot of people who are very intuitive tend to hang around outside of their body. So this helps you be in both places at once and fully aware of the moment you're not in your body, meaning you have more energy outside of your body than you have in it, which isn't conducive to your body staying as well as it should, or feeling as good as it should. People may feel energy running down your legs. How many people feel the energy running down your legs? Good. And you got a barrel roll type of rotation going on at your sixth chakra, where it's starting at this chakra and going all the way around and hitting all of these translator chakras that extend all the way around your head, feeding your brain, giving information to your brain, and your brain is going to perk like boop, 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 boop. And your brow chakra is spinning, and the pyramid in it got bigger, and your all-seeing eye just went. How many people feel that? More awake, more aware. That's the purpose of that eye, is for you to be more aware. Do you have a question, Joanna? Joe? I don't know why. I guess because I saw it written there.
Nope, no question. Thank you.
Blow out. And how many can feel the purpose of being alive? Can you feel it? Your purpose is to accumulate information, digest it, and share it with everyone else. Give it out from the viewpoint you have. Because you may change another life that way. Wow, those your legs, Barbara? flow. And then energy's running up through the tubes in your crown. Just pushing up purple until it turns white. And I see angel wing flows appearing. And your seventh subtle body gets brighter and brighter. And then dumps whatever it knows, which is a lot. That's the equivalent of your higher self, but I don't even like that word. It is yourself. And dumps all of that information, all of that light, all of that enlighteningness down into you. Then all of your particles begin to evenly space. And they're all resonating with that wondrous song of the universe and heartbeat of the earth. From the base to the mezzo soprano, and beyond. Then all of your particles are paying attention to all of your other particles, and some of them are going to regroup. They're doing a do-si-do. In your centering. And that feels balanced. Does anybody feel better? All right. Does everybody understand how we work with that? Any questions? Douglas.
So that was really somatically profound, Wanda. Through the process, I know you've always talked about the root becomes the crown and vice versa, but in this process through the subtle bodies and working up the chakras, I felt this kind of symbolically, this hourglass of just say the top and bottom, being the crown and root. And then for the first time ever, I felt it rotating like it wasn't static, but then it became like, oh, it's meant to dynamically rotate in a, we'll just say with reference with time, where whatever changes happen here, the hourglass rotates and it updates the root and so on. Is that?
Yeah. Everything gets equally informed. And everything upgrades together. Absolutely.
It was profound, especially when the sixth subtle body, when the brow, those connections with the Akashic records, all that distortion that was in the channels, like cleared, and then everything became very, the sense of clarity with opening up all these intergalactic and cosmic channels. And, it just was like, since that distortion just cleared, it opened so many channels.
It gets clearer and easier to see.
Mm-hmm.
Easier to know. And you can do it for anybody, and you can do it for yourself.
So is it just the awareness that, with that dynamic, is that just an awareness that it gets to that point where it just starts automatically updating? Or what was your sense of how that, I'm just trying to wrap my head around, is it something where you can access that and say, if you get stuck or something?
Right, you can ask for it to happen.
Oh, okay.
And it's your energy, so your energy has to do what you ask it to do.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, as we have always said, that's what being an energy master is. You master your energy, and you can get it to do anything. And it wants to work for you. It wants to accelerate you and bring you into that more full awareness. That's its whole purpose all the time, is to bring you into a more full awareness and teach you how to live. So it'll cooperate. You're asking it to do what it wants to do anyway. Which is work fully and completely. Any more questions? Joanne?
You said the purpose of life is to accumulate information, digest it, and share it. What do you mean when you say information?
Truth, the real truth, the truth of our existence, and but it's always going to be through our own lens, and there's always going to be someone who our lens is perfect for, because we're all traveling together on this journey of self-actualization, self-realization, and whatever we have to share with people anywhere on our journey into doing that, there's always going to be someone who needs it.
Mm-hmm.
So just share whatever you know with anybody who's willing to listen. Mm-hmm. And you'll be surprised how many of them there are. Even if you're sitting on an airplane next to somebody, just talk about what you think about. And you'll be surprised how fascinated they get by it. Barbara's had that experience. And you can be very convincing that that's the way to go. People will be swayed by your belief because it's in keeping with the soul, everyone's soul. All right, how are we doing time, Donna?
We have 5 minutes.
Oh, okay. All right, so I guess we better say our ending prayer. Do you have anything you need to tell people, Donna?
Next week, next Monday, the 24th, will be our guest speaker. Our quarterly guest speaker, Bill Reddy, will speak on the role of acupuncture and Qigong in supporting cancer patients. And also, our regular reminder is that Rays of Healing does rely on donations. So we appreciate your donations. Thank you.
I love all of you. Let's hear who you want to just say their names all at once, who you want added in the prayer.
Betty and her family.
Tina.
And Madeline.
Junie Sled.
And
Matthew Sled.
Patty.
My sister, my family, my friends, Kathy,
Sophie Martini.
Kathy, and me.
People of Ukraine, the people of Russia,
Everybody here.
the
Austin.
people of Sudan.
Oh, suffering.
All of us each.
All right. We'll say the prayer again. Divine Infinite Spirit, thank you for being with us, for being one with us, for what you gave us this evening, what you shared with us, and what we were able to take in. We ask that immediately, all of that energy go out to everyone mentioned, which is going all over the place. It's going all over the world. Spreading, spreading, spreading. Still spreading. It's dropping into places I've never seen on the map before. Hi, Lubby.
He's trying to jump over here.
We ask that every soul on earth, every being on earth, including the houses and the furniture and the grass and the trees and the rocks and the anything that's ever been made, that it all gets to live the way it is meant to, through its natural lifespan, and that all things share in the joy of being alive. And so it is. I just couldn't love you anymore. It's always a delight.
Love you, Wanda. Thank you.
Yeah, I love you. It's a delight.
Love you, Wanda. Thank you very much.
Our light. Thank you. Thank you.
Love you, Kimber.
Thank you, Wanda.